Welcome to Uncle's Channel. Thanks for watching today, and let's continue our journey to finish every single Game Boy Color game. Today focus on a game called 007, The World Is Not Enough for the Game Boy Color. Now this game here is based directly on the film, and I've never seen the film, so I can't say plot points, how closely along it follows it. However, the gameplay of this game is based directly off of Metal Gear Solid for the Game Boy Color, and I have to say, it is a lackluster clone of that game. This game here has glitches in it. It's just simply sort of boring in a lot of cases. And it's just overall not a very polished or fun game for the Game Boy Color. But we're going to figure out all that and more as we journey through 007, The World Is Not Enough. Now, this particular game did get moved up in the queue a bit because Pat Boy 2 requests I cover it sooner than later. So now it's moved up in the queue. If there's a game that you want to see me cover sooner than later, let me know the name of the game in the comments down below. And just like 007, The World Is Not Enough, boy, I feel like I've said a lot in this video, I'll move it right on up in the queue. Now, let's start the videos off looking at the box art for the game first. And the box art here is pretty much the movie poster. I don't think they changed anything between the two images here. As far as events inside the game, all of those characters are in the game itself. You don't have a parachute scene inside the game, so that's missing. There's no scene where you're flying off a boat down there. That's missing in the game. There are some explosions, so I don't know. If you bought the game based on the cover, you knew what you're getting into. It's still a James Bond game, but it's not perfectly in line with the film. Now, when you start the game up here, you do have the classic James Bond intro where he walks across the screen, shoots at you, and a little blood comes trickling down over your eyes here. However, the James Bond theme is not played in the background for this particular scene here. And the James Bond theme doesn't play anywhere in this game at all. They have a song that sounds similar to James Bond, but it's not the same. So it's either one of two things. Either the movie chose not to play the James Bond film, which is very possible, or two, they couldn't get the copyrights to the music of the film or music of the James Bond, and that's the reason it's not there. But it really does suck the the energy out of the intro when the James Bond theme is missing. Then you have the title screen for the game here, which is once again the movie poster. Now, when we get into the actual game, there are 8 missions that we have to go through, and every single mission we're going to break down individually here. But mission number 1 has us going to Spain to collect Sir Robert King's money and find out who killed our agent. And there are 3 individual objectives. We have to gain entry to LeChase's office, collect money from LeChase, and then escape the bank. And there's no way to complete these overall levels and not do all the missions. So if you just simply go through the level from start to finish, you will automatically complete every mission. And so you don't really have to worry about it too much as you're going through here. But when you start off, it's going to be a top-down game, very similar to Perfect Dark or Metal Gear Solid. And your B button is going to be your punch or your weapon button to fire off. And then the A button is going to be to interact with anything in the environment that you need to, such as doors or different computers and things like that. Now, in the opening level here, there's really nothing to do except sort of go down to the bottom left-hand corner, collect the key, head off to the elevator, get on the elevator, go to LeChase's office here, and you approach him and you have a little talking scene. And LeChase is I'm not going to give you the money. And we're hey, we're going to take it the hard way then. And evidently, we shoot and kill LeChase here. And as soon as we kill him, at this point, we have a little smoke bomb. We throw it down. We confuse the soldiers. Then we have to go and collect our gun off to the right-hand side and then kill off the soldiers. Now, the question I have is, obviously, we shot LeChase. So why don't we still have that gun? Why is the gun halfway across the room? That doesn't make a lot of sense. Perhaps there's something in the movie to tie the events together a little bit better. But regardless, you pick up the gun, you take out the soldiers inside the room against you. Now, the combat in the game is not going to be great. It's pretty much whoever gets the first shot in first or the first hit in is going to win the battle unless you walk away and reinitiate the battle. If you walk up to somebody and you punch them one time, if you punch them first, you can just simply spam the punch button. You will win the battle. But if they punch you first, there's no way, because of the stun lock, that you're ever going to get a punch out unless you simply back away and reinitiate the fight. Same thing if you get into a little gunfight here. If they shoot you and you shoot them, whoever gets hit with the shot first is going to win the battle if you stay there and continue to spam the shoot button. So if my shot lands on them first and I just simply keep spamming it, I'm going to win the battle. But if they shoot me first and they keep spamming it, which they're going to do, they're going to win the battle. So your only real strategy here is going to be to fire off one shot, run away, let the shot hit them, the bullet goes past you, run back around, reinitiate the fight, shoot one shot off, and then run away and try to get another shot in on them. The overall gameplay loop here of the combat is just simply not a lot of fun. But as you're journeying through here, because after you take them out, you begin to exit out of the bank, and you're going to take out a lot more soldiers. And the AI is just simply not good for these soldiers. Sometimes they literally just stand there if they're far away from you. You're outside of their field of recognition. Even if you shoot them, they still don't acknowledge that you're there, and you can just simply take them out. They can also, once they get outside their zone here, even if they're attacking you, the AI recognizes they're outside the zone. They'll begin to walk back, and you can just shoot them in the back, and they're just simply keep walking. The AI is just really terrible in the game, and they don't recognize you half the time either, like if you're trying to sneak around the level, which we'll get to it here in a little bit. But just know the combat for the game, it's not rewarding, it's not fun. It's below average. Now, as I'm going through the level here, I can't actually escape from the bank because I never did actually pick up the briefcase in LaChase's office. Now, evidently the money was in the briefcase. I had no way of knowing that. I didn't even see the briefcase like in the initial office scene. So I had to backtrack all the way back to the beginning to get the briefcase full of money in order to try to complete the mission. But I couldn't complete the mission because I did not pick up the appropriate key. Evidently the key was hidden inside this terrace area, so I had to backtrack again and go into the little terrace area through one entrance, take out the soldiers, get the key, and I could finally exit out the bank. I'll admit the key backtracking was my fault because, like, you know, I didn't explore the area well enough. But the briefcase, man, they should have like made the briefcase sort of, you know, highlight, move around, arrow, something, because I had no idea I needed to collect the the briefcase in that office. And at this point, we do get like a little cutscene here, or not cutscene, but like a single image of animation of me out on the street journeying to my next location. But before we get into that, I do want to take a second to talk about like the animation of James Bond here, because when he's walking across the room, it doesn't look like a natural walk to me. The best way I can describe it here is like a reverse moonwalk, which is weird because like the moonwalk is, you know, going backwards in reverse anyway. So I guess like a going forward moonwalk. And I don't know, let's reverse the footage of James Bond here so we can see him actually do the moonwalk. I don't know, I feel like the way he glides across the room would make even Michael Jackson jealous. But let's go ahead and journey into mission number 2 here. Now, between the levels, like I said, you do get like a little cutscene as far as like animation. You also get like a password. The game does not have a save feature. It has a password you would put in here, which I don't have a big problem with, because a lot of games, as the years have gone on, you know, the batteries die in them, and so it makes it basically unable to play the actual cartridge here unless you you know, replace the battery, which I know is not expensive and it's worth doing on like bigger games, but like smaller games like this, I don't know, password's probably fine. But that's the reason the developers put the passwords in the game instead of a battery, because they knew the game was lackluster. That's pretty pitiful on the director's part, or the developer's part. But let's go ahead and journey into mission number 2 here. Now, I accidentally skipped the information or the briefing, so I can't tell you like exactly what the storyline said, but I do know what our missions are in London here. We are supposed to secure the building, which means kill everybody in the building, find the computer for the vault access code, get Q-Lab access key in the vault, and then go to the Q-Lab. So if you know James Bond, we know all about the Q-Lab. But we start on the 4th floor. We're basically sort of working our way down here. You go up through, you just sort of kill all the guards off, and then there are levers that you have to pull in order to open up these steel doors throughout the level. And so every floor is going to have 2 levers you have to pull in order to escape that floor. Now the 4th floor, easy to escape. Pull the levers, kill all the guys off, done. 3rd floor though, you journey down here, there are lasers, and the lasers are very powerful, and they take your health off very quickly here. And it's actually sort of hard to time the exact movement on the lasers, but I have to say, like, if you lose all your life, you restart the entire level over. Not a huge deal in these early levels, but in the later levels of the game, that's going to get very annoying. But as you're going through here in the 2nd floor, or I'm sorry, the 3rd floor, because I'm going down floors, I pulled both levers, but the doors didn't open. And I was like, the lasers are gone, but the doors didn't open. I couldn't figure out what to do. I journeyed all through this floor like for a solid like 10 minutes. Could not figure out how to get this door to open. So finally I was like, you know, screw it. I'm going to look online for a guide here. The guide said exactly what I did. Pull the levers. Okay. So then I like went on to the, you know, like a long play on YouTube, and I watched the long play. They went in, they pulled the levers just like me. Their doors opened. And so I was like, what is wrong with my game? Why did the door not open here? So I ended up just simply going back up to the 4th floor, coming back down, and when I came back down, the door had opened up. So there's like a glitch in the game which caused the door to stay shut here, and it only got resetted when I went out of the room and came back in. And so I don't know, just sort of a annoying little glitch here that it makes you waste a heck of a lot of time. But you journey down to the 2nd floor, same puzzle system here. There's like electricity on the floor. You have to follow along like the path and try to avoid that. Pull the levers down, journey down to the 1st floor, take all the enemies out, and when you get to the exit here, it has like a really cool submarine. I'll give them credit for this. There's a submarine here, looks like a robotic demon wolf. A cool looking submarine. You get on that, and then you escape from the building. Now mission number 3, we're still in London here, but we have a little bit of change of scenery. We're now like on a harbor, and we're like on a river, and there are 2 objectives. We have to get to the tube station, which is like a train station, and we have to chase the cigar girl. And so I assume she's in the movie. You can let me know in the comments down below. But as you're journeying through here, like I did get sort of annoyed as far as like taking all the guards out. And Lalo was also like sitting in my lap, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try running past the guards since like one of the missions is not to secure the area. And I just simply ran past all the guards, and it's surprisingly easy to not do stealth, not kill the guards, but just run past them and still not lose a heck of a lot of health. And so I'm going to use that strategy even more in the later levels, but it was a convenient strategy to figure out with Lalo's help here. And if you're just watching the channel for the first time, Lalo is one of my cats. Now, the building that you enter into is like a warehouse. You have to pull some more switches to lift some boxes up to advance like a little maze here. Then you get to the train station, and once again, you have to push some switches, which is going to open up different little train station gates to advance as well. The game has a lot of switches to push. That is like the main puzzle mechanic here, and they really did love the switches. Eventually, you do get to C4, and you have to blow up a pillar here in order to advance. And once again, I had to look on a guide to figure out like what to do, because they give you the C4 and you're like, what do I blow up? And it happened to be this one pillar that you have to blow up in order to advance. And that leads us into mission number 4. And we have 4 objectives. We have to leave Electra's house without detection, track Davidov without detection, eliminate Davidov and assume his identity, and get to the airfield undetected and onto the plane. And when they say undetected, they literally mean no soldier can see you throughout the entire level. And if they do see you, the mission is just simply over. You don't get a chance to like fight them and try to take them out. You just simply fail the mission. You have to start all the way from the beginning again. And it is a very long mission in the game. It's probably the longest one. And you can be all the way at the end, get caught, and have to do the entire thing all over again. Now, it does start off here in a super fancy hotel, and you're trying to escape here. And once again, you're just simply finding keys and switches to make your way out. And once you do escape from the hotel, there are 2 weapons that you can finally get. You can get a taser, which allows you to walk up right behind the enemy, tase them, they'll just sort of collapse, still undetected. Or you can get a silencer for your gun, and you can shoot them from a distance. But if you get into a major battle here, and you are going to get detected, and you'll fail the entire mission. So taser is definitely the way to go. Now, once you're out here, there's like a giant maze you have to journey through. And as you're going through it, like I got lost. I couldn't figure out like where to go. I'm journeying through the maze, the same spots over and over. No clue. So I looked it up, and you had to shoot certain walls in the maze to make them disappear. And it's like, how would you ever figure that out? Like when you play through a maze or you do a maze, you can't just erase walls to open up passageways. That's cheating in a maze. I never would have figured that out, but you're supposed to shoot the walls here, and then you can move on through the maze. And as I'm thinking about it, I just can't imagine like when the developers actually designed this level or this game in general, like the activity that they put into it, they actually said to themselves like, man, gamers are going to have a blast playing this level, because like all you do is flip switches, try not to get seen, and then just try to wander around aimlessly in a maze. I just cannot imagine like the developers actually having a passion when making this game. But as you're going through it here, eventually you get out of the maze, darkness begins to fall. You do approach Davidov, and you don't want him to see you, but you also don't want to lose sight of him. So it's like a sort of in-between, or trying to balance the situation here, because if you get too close to him when you're following him, he'll see you, you fail the mission. If you stay too far away from him, you'll lose sight of him, you'll fail the mission. So you have to stay like literally just perfect here. And eventually he goes into the next area. You go up behind him, you punch him out, and then you assume his identity. At this point, nighttime rolls around. The light is all gone. You have to find the night goggles in order to avoid the next enemy soldiers and find your way through the secondary maze here. And eventually you have to find your way through a little hole inside the maze. I never would have seen this hole. Like I journeyed through the maze multiple times once again. And I guess like looking at it now, like you can sort of see it, but it just looked like a regular wall to me. But once you go through that, you get on a plane and you can officially escape the level. And the cutscene after this level does have like a picture of the plane. And I don't know, like, is the plane damaged here, or is it broken, or is that part of the storyline? I don't know, because something is wrong with this plane. Like, this is a weird looking plane. And maybe it's just bad animation. I don't know. But the plane here, just simply not good. Now, mission number 5 here, you have 4 objectives. Again, you're supposed to find Christmas, not the holiday. Evidently, there's a character named Christmas. Go to the silo with Christmas, and then you have to attempt to foil Renard's plan, and then you have to escape the bomb. Now, this level here is going to be very much of like a minecart aesthetic, and so as you're journeying through it here, you're basically once again doing the exact same puzzles. You're finding switches, you're opening up passageways, and you eventually find a Lara Croft looking character, and that is going to be Christmas. You follow her into the next area, and now it's going to be a 2D platforming game. So they're like completely changing the gameplay here. And so the jumping for this is just terrible. And so you're jumping here, You basically can jump straight up or you can do a long jump. There's no in between here. You're trying to avoid spikes on the ground, hopping on platforms, trying to avoid bombs falling down, and you also have a time limit to get it all done by. And if you don't do it fast enough, back to the beginning of the level for you. But you eventually get to the far end, and people go up the elevator. They pull like the little switch out of the bomb here. The bomb has a countdown. Now you have to get out of the building. And so you're journeying back through all the same spots, but it's harder on the way out because you have to get like the little C4 and blow up the walls in order to escape from the vault of sorts. And overall, just simply not great platform mechanics here. And you are in a rush to get it done, and just, I don't know, just simply not fun. Now, mission number 6 is going to have 3 objectives. You have to gain entry to the Fishery, find Zakovsky for questioning, and then destroy the Saw copter. And I was like, finally, a boss in the game. But I was also like sort of hesitant. I was like, are they actually going to have something cool, or is it just simply going to be something lame? It is going to be a boss. We're going to get to it in a second, but you are back out on the harbor here. You journey through the harbor a little bit, the usual stuff, usual puzzles and whatnot. You then get into the Fishery, which is like a factory. And there's different elevators you have to activate in order to go up floors and down floors. And you find your way to Zarkovsky. It's really the same puzzle that we've had throughout the entire game. And then we get to the Sawcopter, and indeed, it was a boss. And it's a giant helicopter, like a saw attached to it. I presume here that's what's attached to the bottom of it. And you get a rocket launcher, and you have to get underneath the helicopter and shoot the rockets up at it in order for the helicopter to explode. And I don't know, this is probably the best part of the game. Like the fighting of this boss here, they should have put more bosses in the game. Like every level, if it closed off of a boss and had like checkpoints up to that point, the game would be better. It's not gonna be a great game, but it would be better for sure. Now, mission number 7, we are in Istanbul, Turkey, and we have 3 missions. We have to survive torture, we have to locate and free M, and then we have to get to the submarine. Now, this level here has some of the weirdest stuff in it in the entire game. Now, to survive the torture, you're in a castle here, and there's this lady here. She's like casting a spell, it looks like, on you, or doing like a little fright method on you. I don't know what she's doing, but maybe she's doing the Thriller walk or the Thriller dance from Michael Jackson, like another, maybe the whole game is just simply Michael Jackson dance moves. I'm not sure, but whatever she's doing here is bizarre by all means. It said press B. I pressed B to try to escape. It took like almost a solid minute and a half to finally escape. I lost like half my health. Evidently, I probably did it wrong. And then you journey through the castle. Now, as I'm going through the castle, I could not figure out for the life of me. I was like, where am I supposed to go? Like, I found the keys. I got everything unlocked. What am I supposed to do? And I thought maybe it was like a glitch in the game again. So I looked up a guide, or I looked up a video online of a long play. And it turned out there was a single statue of a knight, or a single knight that you had to go up to in the hallway and press A, and it moves its arm, and that opens up a door. And nowhere else in the game if you had to press random items except for switches or computers to open up anything. Like, who would have ever thought you had to press, a knight in order to open it up here? But regardless, we open it up, we continue on. We eventually find ourselves a laser watch. We go down to the bottom of the level here. We find the jail cells. We journey off to the far right. M is in that cell. Use our laser watch, open up the door, and when you free M, like, she doesn't follow you. She just simply starts doing jumping jacks right there. I don't know what the heck is going on. Obviously, it's like a celebratory dance, but like, man, it looks a lot like jumping jacks. But at this point, you are able to exit the level. You find the submarine, you get on it, and we have a little blurry submarine picture here as we are escaping from the level. Now, the final mission here, you have to destroy the control room, find the reactor room, and then stop Renard. And so obviously Renard is the core villain for this game or this movie. And for this one, you are in a submarine. Now, this is probably the best mission inside the entire game as far as like being a cohesive James Bond type mission, because as you're journeying through here, you have to do the usual stuff, open up doors of different switches and whatnot, find the keys, but you also have to find like the C4. When you find the C4, you have to like literally place the C4 on these tanks inside the submarine, just like you would in the facility of like GoldenEye, and you have to like actually detonate them and in order to accomplish the mission. Now, that to me feels like an actual James Bond mission inside the game. And it may just simply be because it's borrowing from GoldenEye, but like, this was the most fun I had throughout the entire experience. But the level's not technically over after you destroy the reactor core or whatnot. You do get to a final little platforming section here. We have to do, once again, some ridiculous jumps. And when I say ridiculous, like sometimes you have to land on like a single pixel of a platform. And if you miss this, you fall like all the way back down to the bottom, have to restart the entire thing over again. Some of the platforms are electrified. And so it's like very precise stuff with a very imprecise jumping mechanic. And when you get to the final top here, like, it annoys me so much because Renard's up there. You don't actually get to fight Renard. It's just simply a auto fight scene here. and it takes Renard out for you. So it's like, I don't know, like very anticlimactic when you finish it up here. And also like the way he just stands there and it's like, just let you kill him off. Like it's very, I don't know, passive. And I'm like, what? Renard is just a weird character that the game has created here. But you do get a cutscene, the only actual cutscene in the game of us busting out of the submarine. Not a great cutscene, but it's not a still animation like the rest of them. And that's the end of the game. This game here, it's lackluster. There's not a lot to write home about. The combat, not very good. The missions themselves, which you have to accomplish, not very good. Only one boss battle in the entire game, which was sort of the highlight. Only one mission in the entire game that felt like an actual James Bond mission. The music's not very good. The graphics they're fine, they're serviceable, I'd say. It almost looks like the game Another World, especially like the jumping mechanics in it. It really reminds me of that, like on the Super Nintendo. But I don't know, it's just a very repetitive game, and it just simply doesn't bring a lot to the table. Like going through mazes and clicking switches, and pretty much all that you do when you're not fighting soldiers, which has a poor mechanic on its own, just simply not an overall good game. I'd probably give it a solid 4 out of 10, and I think that might be pushing it here. If you're looking for a good James Bond game, just simply play the black and white one or the original Game Boy one called James Bond 007. Far better game than this one. But if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Check out my other videos listed up above, and go out there and find a great game to play. Simply have a great rest of the day.